Welcome to Words with Wings, the podcast. Joining me today is Mr. Rob Howze. He is an empowerment artist, and he is wanting to talk about Experts on Stage, which is an international business collective. And we're also going to just chat as we do, and I have a feeling we're going to do some laughing along the way. Welcome, Rob.
Alex, thank you for having me on this wonderful show. Wonderful introduction, wonderful vibe.
Thank you. So, you have one. For those who don't know you, give me just a little bit of background on who you are and what you do, and how your T-shirt fits into the world.
Wow. Always trying to summarize things. It always makes you feel a certain way. Like, how do you condense this into a non-long-winded description, but at the same time give enough detail to where people can understand what it is you're talking about? So let me just start with my purpose. My purpose is to help develop billions of healthy, wealthy people. My purpose is to help people become their best selves holistically, mentally, physically, spiritually. And so, as a personal trainer, I've done that for several years. As a pastor for over a decade, a former pastor. I studied neuroscience and psychology for a while. I more so did that because I wanted to know more about what the doctors were giving me than what they did.
Mm.
It kind of bothered me that people knew more about how my mind works. Like, no one can know more about me than me. Okay, let's just get that straight. So that was kind of like it infused me. So so now I've really dedicated my life to helping people reach those levels, mentally, physically, or spiritually. Like, those are the three roads everything comes down: mentally, physically, spiritually. Everything in life comes through those three. So if you focus on making those three healthy, mental health is like a good psychology, a good perspective, your view of the world. Like, you don't harbor things, you're not jealous. If you are, this short lived. Like, it's a good mind, good body. You're eating the right foods. You don't have to eat leaves off trees, but you can't eat cupcakes every day. You have to monitor what you're putting in your body. You have to move. If you don't move, your muscles atrophy. The end. I mean, so we can get right to the point. Just move a little bit. And then also watch the medications that you're putting in your body. Is there anything you can supplement that medication for that's organic and natural? So, and then you got the spirit. And the spirit is interesting when you talk about spiritual health, because spirituality I look at with three levels. Here on level three is religion. And religion is the institutionalized way of your spirituality. You're learning whatever it may be. You following a system. Before religion, there's faith, because you can't even have religion without faith. And faith is the evidence of things hoped for but not seen. And so, but then before faith, every human has this, when they should, they need it. It's called gratitude. And your gratitude really determines your attitude, which determines your altitude. I love saying that because it's true. And when you think about gratitude, if you want to have a rich spirit, be grateful, because your gratitude is connected to your spirit. So mind, body, and spiritual wellness, that'll make you fit, rich, healthy is the new wealthy.
Amen.
Amen.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. That is what amen means. And so,
Ah, I got my paper. Let me get a fresh sheet for this conversation, because
yeah, I
I've
know.
already
I
I've
did the
already, I've
same
already
thing.
written down like five things since I've been talking to you.
We had a nice little chat before we began, and we have, this is our first, well, we spoke on the phone once for an extended period of time, and that's
Yeah.
how we became friends, I would say. And
Yep.
now this is the first time we've really kind of seen each other, though
Mhm.
still not in person. But
Yeah, it's good.
we're
It's
on
close. It's
opposite
close
ends.
person like. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Beam me up,
probably
Scott.
equidistant from our coasts.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Northwest and the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah. So, mental, spiritual, physical. And Fit World fits into that. how are you, is that simply the umbrella under which you do your work,
So
or?
Fitworld started off a couple years ago as an app. So it started off as an app, and we created the app with the idea of health and wellness professionals being able to build their profiles and play coaches, life coaches, personal trainers, health coaches, nutritionists, doctors, therapists, anyone who's working in the space of mind, body, or spiritual wellness. They can have a profile, and it's an app, and a person who's looking for this type of provider can locate the profile, watch their videos, connect with them via Skype or Zoom because it's built into the application, all built in. And we were building it, and it was building. It was the greatest thing I ever seen was happening, and then smoke. It just
Ooh.
went away. The whole organization, the app, the people who were building the app, something happened. A lot of things just didn't work out the way I expected them to work out in regards to this Fit World app.
Hmm.
So I looked at all the learning experiences that I got. I took a step back, took a deep breath, a 12-month deep breath. When I exhaled, experts on stage showed up.
Mm.
And experts on stage, the founder, Glenn Garns, my partner, it didn't start off this way. The relationship started off with me doing an interview inside of one of his studios. And then through conversation, hearing we have the same vision, same dream, he had an infrastructure that was built 92%, I would say, exactly like Fit World.
Wow.
The infrastructure meaning a place where profiles can be built, profiles can be seen, relationships can be cultivated, and technology tools can be given so that not only people can grow in their relationships, but understand how to use some of the technology to advance their businesses. Glenn is like, he is like Professor X to me,
Mm.
of X-Men. The dude's
Yeah.
brain, it's like I don't know. I don't understand how you're that smart. Being around him in 10 months, I learned more in 10 months than I did in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And that's what mentorship does for you. Because what mentorship does for you, it allows you to, if you are moving, 10 miles per hour, it allows you to move like 90, sometimes 100, sometimes 200, because you are shortening your learning curve, which is accelerating your speed. So
Absolutely.
that's what he did. And so I don't know how we got here, but I know experts on stage who were there, and that's Fit World. And so the smoke, poof, experts on stage, and so now that's just phenomenal. And I love the way God, universe, or whatever people like to call it, orchestrates life. And sometimes when things don't go the way you expect them to, if you look at it in a negative way, it just gets more negative. So
Absolutely.
when Fit World began to fall apart, I could start to blame and point the finger at the things that were going wrong because there were multiple things that were out of my control that shouldn't happen. But then once I'm done finger pointing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still there with the same scenario.
Right.
Okay, I don't waste time. I don't do that anymore. So I immediately started to do some self-reflection and course correction. This is what I do daily now. I did it a lot back then. I do it daily now.
Mm-hmm.
Self-reflection means you're doing an analysis of what just happened, a deep depth analysis, not just about what you think happened, what are the perspectives, what is your involvement, and then course correction allows you to make those adjustments. And by doing that with that thinking, allowed me to have the relationship open with Glenn. So Fit World became experts on stage, small
Right.
business CEO, and as you would call it, the International Business Collective. Thank you for that new terminology.
Hey, my pleasure. It's actually all words that you said to describe what you want,
Hmm.
and yet all I did was put them in that order. You said them. I just gave them back to you. And I think that too is what mentorship is about. And
I was
coaching
thinking that.
is
That's it.
about the reflection of
Hmm.
you. When you go to see a psychologist, it's very much like that. They tell you nothing. You know, they
Hmm.
simply spit back at you what you're spitting out at
Wow,
them, you know?
that's valuable.
Yeah.
I should go just for that purpose.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think that I really believe that everyone could benefit from either a life coach or a psychologist, depending on your needs and desires. There are
Right,
definitely times that a psychologist is preferable to a life coach,
right,
and
right.
yet through most of life's work, what you want is someone who can be there and kind of be that older sister who will really tell you what for.
Hmm.
And that's a life
Hmm.
coach.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, your stage, experts on stage, is the world stage.
The world stage.
Yeah. And it's very,
Your
I
voice is the
see it,
mic.
right? What?
I said, and your voice is the mic, and the world is your stage. That's what I wrote in the copy.
Perfect. Your voice is the mic and the world is the stage. And never so much as today.
Yes.
And we all have that voice. And
Hmm.
I'm writing a book right now that combines philosophy and practical education, and that www is really important to know what that means. It's the World Wide Web, and everything you write goes out to everyone on the planet.
Yes.
And you need to look at it that way,
Yes.
feel it that way. And then
Hmm.
going back to energy is what you put out is what you get back. So the more
Yep.
positive you speak and the more positive you think, because thoughts are things,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The more positive we speak, the more positive we write, the more we're going to change the world,
Hmm.
show people that yes, things can happen by being positive, by being open, because the same happens the other way. When
Yes.
we speak negatively, it's there forever too. And
We
it
can
will
choose.
come back and bite us in the ass.
Uh-huh.
Of course,
Of course.
at the most inopportune time.
Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
that something?
Yes, and the reverse is true. Everything you put out there positive will come back at the most opportune moment,
Yeah. Put the
because
seed in there and it'll
yeah,
grow. It'll grow.
the universe is conspiring with us right
You
now.
know, unpack that. What does that exactly mean?
For me,
Yeah, for you.
the universe is conspiring with us as opposed to, I guess that's it. To see the negative is to see the positive in that for me. And I try not to do that. um, so as I walk through life, as I move through my world, what I do is supported by that universal energy. It's like if you've been to New York, and Washington's the same way. You live near Washington, D.C., and it feels very, very similar. It feels like a clean New York to me. But but in New York, the energy works with you. It
Yeah.
works with you whether you're doing well or not so well.
Yeah.
And it's very strong
Wow.
and it's pervasive and it pushes you either direction. And
Hmm.
you choose which direction you want to go.
You choose.
You
You
choose.
choose the stream, and the flow's gonna go.
Absolutely. And it's that way, it's universal, right? So the universe does this in varying degrees, and I do think that there are centers of the universe, right? I like to think that Washington Square Park is the center of the universe, but then so is the Lava Beds National Monument,
Hmm.
and that's two. I'm sure there has to be at least one more, but I've not been to Paris, so I'm guessing. Machu Picchu. I wonder. This is taking an odd turn. I'm wondering if those centers of the universe are equidistant apart, are, you know,
Hmm.
hubs. And people have talked about there being portals, right? Portals of energy.
Hmm.
And
I could see something of that nature.
yeah,
Something
for
close.
sure.
I've been having thoughts about that lately. Actually, never had thoughts about that ever, like that depth about it. But over the last couple of weeks, like even had a lady that I was talking to. I forget what she described. The description that she. I know one term was psychic, but there was another one. But she saw me as a flying a spaceship in space, and then I had a dream about that before she told me that. So it's been a lot of galactic things going on in my world lately. So this
Nice.
is refreshing conversation.
Thank you. And Mercury is in retrograde for another couple of days. I find it really interesting when, while everyone is afraid of Mercury being in retrograde, and we've got 2 more days of it, or one and a little bit probably, but that when you connect with someone, you're going to connect with them.
Hmm.
It doesn't, it irregardless of where the planets are. You and I click. It just works. It's just easy. And I think no matter what the planets are doing, you and I click. It
Yeah.
just works. It's
Right.
just, and
Right.
and again, that's a choice,
Hmm. It's a choice.
you know. I mean, I could have said, "Oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde. We need to wait until after." Yeah, I don't do that. And yet, all of that said, we have tried to have this particular conversation 3 different times,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and the universe said no, you may
It's on the
not.
stove. It's on the stove. It's still warming up.
Exactly. Well, you hadn't had the galactic conversation yet,
True.
so maybe that's why. And then it had to
Good.
render.
Is that are your powers in that pink garment behind you? Is that where you're getting your powers from?
Yes,
Okay, just want to know.
absolutely. Ah, I I learned improv in college.
I love improv.
Yeah. First rule of improv.
Say yes to everything.
Exactly.
Really? I just saw
Right.
that on a video the other day. Yeah. I
That
was like,
is, and
wow.
it's so true, and it's true in life, and the
It
reason
is.
you say yes is it continues the conversation.
It does.
That is exactly the way it was described to me when I was learning to do improv. If you say no, it stops everything. You
Stopped
can hang
everything.
up the phone. It's over.
Yep. Yep. Wow. Say
Yeah.
yes. So
Say
many things in life are the similarities, you know? So
mm-hmm.
many. If you just take a
Absolutely.
step back, it's like, wow, cool.
Well, and it also kind of tells you that you're where you're supposed to be.
Hmm.
You're kind of moving. I'm gesturing all up here because you can't see down here, and normally, we gesture. I need to be up. We gesture from our heart, right?
Yeah.
It's all here. But in this particular case, I'm not like, I don't have enough space to.
And actually, I'm sitting down and my hands move a little bit too much. So I'm actually glad they're down here. So you don't just see all this stuff going on. Like, what are you doing right now?
It's funny how the thing tracks, it doesn't track. Okay. It's all, and it is what it's supposed to be. It's like these interviews, I never have a list of questions. I did that one time and just fumbled through it.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody that I can, I'm imbued with the grace of whatever, to
Hmm.
be able to just continue and move through and feel what needs to be talked about next. And so that's what I do. I do it in life and I do it here. And then of course this is life.
You live in flow mode. Like you're comfortable in flow mode. Flowing. I'm
Flow.
I'm actually more comfortable in flow mode. So if I get up and have to give us a speech or deliver anything, if it's not up here, I'm in trouble.
Mm. I'm gonna coach you a little bit. Can I do that?
Please.
If I get up and have to give a speech, needs to be, if I get up and get to give a speech,
What did I say?
have to, like it's a chore.
Yeah, that is the switch. I don't
Yeah,
I don't I don't have to. I get to.
you get to.
Hmm.
I love, God, that's my favorite thing, being able to be in front of people and, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It's amazing.
it's
Amazing.
amazing. And they
That
give
that's
you
that's a
so
good word
much.
switch.
Huh?
That's a good word switch.
Yeah. We should do that together. We should find a venue to,
That'd be great.
that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be good. Make sure you bring the power blanket behind you,
I will,
please.
of course, the power
And,
blanket. We'll
and
share the power blanket.
I think because of the color, that's why you put it on your lips. So maybe I'll have to put some streaks on me as well.
Well, you just need a new headset.
Oh,
Although
that's
if
it.
we're on stage, you won't need a headset.
I won't need a headset.
You have to figure out. We'll get you pink glasses,
It's good.
pink
I,
T-shirt.
I
Your
have a pink can't
T-shirt,
fit shirt,
huh?
and my can't fit shirt is pink, so works out
Oh,
perfect.
that's awesome. Why don't you talk a little bit about Camp Fit?
So growing up, I really noticed, um, so I grew up in a variety of areas. In the ghetto, you know, um, not like the ghetto, like you go outside and you just get shot, but if you go outside around the corner, a couple streets down, you can get shot, like I did, right? So if I grew up there, then a mile up the street, 2 miles up the street was the suburbs. My grandmother, I was the only black person,
Mm,
and they called me nigger. It was like I was in that kind of era. It was like they had a certain perspective, and then so I got a chance to hang out with like jocks in the segregated area, and some of the music dudes, chess players, video game players, dudes who just like to hang out and drink. Like I hung out with all the different groups. What's interesting about this is that I noticed something about all the groups. Although it was a great learning experience, I broadened my perspective tremendously. I noticed that every group, they had a very narrow mindset. Like they could only congregate with their own people. Like so, even when it came to music, I had some guys that couldn't. I listened to everything, hip hop, pop. I was doing, you know, from Michael Jackson to NWA, which is like gangster rap, and then you had New Kids on the Block, which is like the Backstreet Boys of my era. I mean, it's like I was doing everything, but some people they could only do certain things, and it fascinated me because I didn't understand why. But then later, as I grew up, I realized that people were really, really a product of their environment,
yes.
and the reason I tell that whole story is because being a product of their environment, that's why 80% of the folks who I grew up with never got out to do much. They're
Mm,
still where they are. And so I know one of the major contributors to that plaguing statistic is the lack of options. See, I got out because my mama and my father, my grandmother, they always gave me options, talked about them, showed it to me. Even though we didn't have everything, we always talked. So therefore, I was able to see and had a broadened perspective. Again, with all the environments I lived in, it helped as well. And so when you get to a certain point to make a choice, if you only have, if your selection is only a couple, which are bad, as opposed to having a variety of selections, choices, options, you percentage wise, you're just better off. So, can't fit is the thing to help kids increase their options,
yeah.
mentally, physically, spiritually. And so we have trainers, coaches, curriculum, activities, things that go on to actually enhance this. And so I started it because I knew how important it was to have those little components, which later in life turn into utilities that can be used for business and the rest of life.
Yeah.
So they're getting life skills that not just help them to become better people, but to have a life and be able to generate an income when they're ready to.
That's wonderful. Really, really wonderful. And I have to admit I've not seen the show. I knew nothing about you until you spammed me on LinkedIn.
I'm the good spammer.
You
The good spam.
you very good. You very kind spammer. I felt spammed and he sent me. I'm so sorry you felt spammed. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to spam you.
It's the best thing I can come up with,
That was perfect. It was perfect.
But it's real interesting because you're basically your message was basically, listen, don't tag me unless it's about me, please. But I'd love to talk to you if you'd like to talk to me. I'm like, wow. Like, okay.
Exactly.
I like it. Get right to what you want to say and how you feel.
Yeah. Well, and our life is just way too short, not to. What I was thinking about that this morning, and people tell me stuff, okay, like they'll be like, I've never told this to anyone, and please don't share it. And they'll just dump their stuff on me. And so I have everybody's secrets. And how sad, that people don't feel like they can just open up and be who they are and who they've ever been. I talk about, um, your, I want you to say that actually, or maybe you already did, 1 billion,
Healthy, one
1
billion,
billion healthy.
1 billion healthy, wealthy human doings. A couple different things. So healthy is the new wealthy. My vision is to create 1 billion healthy because I had to create a target. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's definitely clearly more than 1 billion because we're billions of creatures here.
Yes.
But billions of healthy, wealthy human doings. Healthy wealth, and when we talk about health, we know health is your wealth. We know
Yes.
that. That's the real wealth. So it's a play on words, but it makes total sense. You know, makes total sense. The words
Absolutely.
the words worked out perfectly.
This is
Oh,
my cat.
oh wow! I was like, we have an animal in the house. Okay.
Yes. There's Brooks.
Hey,
Hi, Brooks.
Brooke. I used to have a black cat named Ajax.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
God,
from my
I
first
love that
first
cat.
cat.
He's acting like he hasn't been fed, and yet. Oh, I know what it is. 9 o'clock came around, and I fed him early, and he has his clock.
Oh,
That,
oh, that's his
that's what it
indicator.
is.
Okay,
So ever since 9 o'clock, he's been going, "Where are you?"
where are you? Hello.
It's like, "You already ate, darling." Okay, so billions of healthy humans, and that is just just lovely and brilliant. And healthy is wealthy, and that I would love for us to see how important that is and how true that is,
Hmm.
because it really is everything. And it goes back to John Donne, who talked about, um for whom the bell tolls, right? And he talks about, I'm ill, and yet my illness is going to, it may very well get me closer to God, closer to my home, because I'm,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of,
that's a whole another thing there.
it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
I, yeah, I love them. Excuse me 1 second.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you could hear that, but it was driving me crazy.
I
The
heard
cat
something
playing
with.
with the mascara always.
Oh,
So, we were talking about something else, and I'm trying to remember where it was. Oh, I liked that you described NWA for me earlier, by the way.
I did.
Yeah, or for
Oh,
perhaps the listening public as
yes.
gangster rap.
Yeah.
And I have to say I needed it, which really makes me feel uneducated. I am ignorant of
This
rap
is how we
culture.
broaden our perspectives. This is how we do. This is
It's very, very true.
how it happens.
Oh, so okay. So what I talk about is acceptance is peace. Okay, and what that's where I was. I'm back. What your thing is billions healthy. Mine is world peace. Just this
Mhm.
little bitty thing.
It's a small thing. Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
tiny
Yeah.
thing. And actually the way I look at peace is not kumbaya, you know. I mean, it's not this um ethereal, everyone's in flowy robes and, you know, walking around without issue. I i look at a difficult peace. You know, peace does not, rather stated, peace makes things harder. It's very easy to blow somebody away with a gun. It's a lot harder to work it out, to understand it, to know who
Yeah.
that person is. And where I go to is to that place of vulnerability where we've got people who have these secrets, who don't feel like they can share them with the world. And and the sadness that's within that, because they don't get to be themselves. They don't get to be open and accepting of themselves enough to step up and say, oh yes, this happened to me. It's not who I am, and it happened to me.
Hmm.
You know, and that's invariably that's what it is. It's something that happened to someone. It's not something that they did or had any control over at all. And there's so much odd shame about that, you know.
Yeah.
And I talk about accepting yourself so that you can accept everyone else.
Ah.
Accepting that game where you whiffed it in the ninth inning and lost.
Hmm.
And then also accepting that day where you hit it out of the park, you know, to win the game for the team. And it's all of those things, all of the nuances of who we are, and accepting everything you are and everything you've ever been, so that you can accept everyone else. Because when we accept our own issues, our own failings, our own trials, and accept the wonderful things that we've done, because that is a real issue, especially with women, is
Hmm.
that we don't say, oh, I did this amazing thing. Gosh, you should have been there, you know? But when the boy hits it out of the park, he's telling everybody, you know?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very, very different sort of place to come from.
Hmm.
And I think that our next generation is less that. Um they're more open, or many of them are
Hmm.
more open. I know that my daughter is.
Hmm.
um and and I think that a lot of that is that she has always been accepted. She's always been able to be whoever she needed to be, everyone she ever needed to be. I've always told her, you can be everything you want to be,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly true. And especially now, you don't go to work and work at the same place for 30 years anymore. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And the culture has adapted to it. People build resumes by going and staying someplace for a couple of years and then going to the next place,
Yeah.
you know, which is
Right.
very, very different.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, anyway, my
Yeah.
concept of peace is accepting ourselves
I
so
like
that
that.
we can
Total
accept
acceptance equals
everyone
peace. I
else.
wrote that down. Total acceptance if you want peace. Total, the totality of it, good and bad, and the in
Yes.
between, is the acceptance. Because the acceptance, I think that's also connected to gratitude. You know, to be grateful for what you have.
Yes.
To be truly grateful is to be totally accepting of what is. and then
Yes,
that creates peace because that
yeah,
allows you to be present where you're present. That's the real gift.
exactly.
Present, present, gift. It's all a gift. It's all the same thing. Present means gift. So
Absolutely.
that's how you know the present is the gift because it is gift. Make that a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. Every moment somebody doesn't blow us off the face of the earth is a gift.
It's a gift. The gratitude gift, ladies and gentlemen. Now
Yes.
we're talking about GIF, GIF.
Right. Oh, yeah. The that it's really interesting that you picked that up because I also wrote a petition years and years and years ago, and I'm sure it's still out there, that is a declaration of world peace. Like we have the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of World Peace says that I personally won't kill anybody else. And that's it. That's all of it. That's all we need is everybody to stand up one by one and say, I'm not going to kill anybody. And then we have peace. It's incredibly simple.
You know, okay. So, like, that's the simplest thing in the world.
It is. Let's
The
make it
most,
viral.
make it viral. And all you have to do is commit to it.
That's right.
Wow. That's instant peace. I have another one too to add to it. You know, this actually goes with it well. World peace. Matter of fact, I wrote something on this last year. The world peace comes from inner peace. So world peace comes from each individual having inner peace.
Exactly.
So if we start with inner peace with self, that will create naturally, organically world peace because we are the ones who create the world.
Absolutely. And inner peace comes from acceptance.
It comes from acceptance. See that trail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all. So there's this wonderful woman who I hope she's still there. So if you're in Manhattan, there's a little curio shop in the village, and it's just down from the chess shop. And you'll know what I'm talking about, the village chess shop. So here's this curio shop. So you go in and there are all these statues, this myriad of statues. And I have this thing for Mary. Okay. And Mary is right there next to Kuan Lin. Is that right? I get this mixed up. Somebody tell me that I'm wrong. In fact, I've got a card that says at any rate. So the Chinese Mary and the, let's say, the Catholic Mary are side by side, and this lovely woman who is smaller than me, and I'm only 5'3", so she's down here somewhere. I said, yeah, I have a thing for Mary, and she says, you know what? I think it's all the same Buddha. Yes, yes.
Good answer.
Yeah,
Good
isn't it
reply.
lovely?
Good reply.
Yeah. And that put everything together for me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not religious. I am deeply spiritual. I have a friend who's a redemptorist Catholic priest, and he calls me spiritually boundless. And I was born into a Catholic family, and so I was raised Catholic and whatever, and been recovering ever since. But um, the gosh, I've lost it. Oh, so the concept that there is one religion that's better than any other religion has always just eluded me. That makes absolutely no sense to me. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what kind of slowed me up in my, I was a pastor for 10 years, and I still do. My family goes to church on Sundays. I still follow the principles of Jesus Christ. I'll still preach. If somebody asks me to come preach, I haven't preached in years. Well, not years, couple years. More so because um, in the beginning of my Christianity movement time, I will call it, I was really desperate to find myself and find God. Like I knew God because I had major experiences. Like I said, when I was shot, there was a first introduction. I had a really quick introduction. Like wow, So yeah, a couple paradigm shifts. So one came out of the store, a guy had a gun, it's loaded, put it to my head. So paradigm shift there, boom. Then he winds up shooting at us 3 times. Okay, me and my friend Rob, his name's Rob, my name's Rob. We got robbed. Isn't that a funny story? Right? But it's only funny
That's
because we lived.
predetermination, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah, right. So we did the Matrix before the Matrix came out because the guy shot 3 times in the car. We jumped back. So I'm in the passenger seat. Rob's in the driver's seat. The guy's outside the car shooting. We both jumped back. We dodged a bullet. Well,
Yeah.
two of them, because one came through here and it went through the inside of my arm and it went into his leg.
Wow.
It's still here there today. He has trouble at the airport. And so I got home. I had my Barry Sanders jersey, which I was wearing that night, and it was bloody. All right, clearly, but it had holes in the front of it.
Wow.
I'm looking at it like, why do I have holes in my shirt? And there's a hole in the arm here too. So what happened was the bullet, when it came to the outside, it came through the inside. When I went back, just enough air got my shirt where the bullet went through. So I was like, whoa, boom, another shift there. So a lot of shifts are happening. Like, bam, bam. I was holding that jersey, by the way, for like an hour, standing there holding it. I
Yeah.
remember stuck there. Got real strong that night too. So I was like, wow. It's like, wow, this is amazing. So that's my introduction. Now I told that long story. I don't know why I told it. I don't know. I said I went down this road. I knew once I went down that road, I may not be able to get back. I knew it, but I had to tell the story because it was important.
No, I'm glad that you told this story. It's a great story. And the fact that, when we think of paradigm shift, we think of these things happening in our lives over great spans of time. For you, it was over moments of time.
Yeah,
This, yeah.
yeah,
And
that's a
oh,
great explanation. And this, I've never talked about that ever until the last 12 months. Like I've mentioned it when I've spoken to youth groups. I've always use it with the youth because I want them to understand quickly. That's a good way to get their attention. But I never shared it in public. For the last 12 months, it's been coming out, and I've realized that there's some things that happened to me in that moment that I never even dealt with or unpacked. And
mm,
as I'm unpacking them, it's very therapeutic and helps me with my understanding myself. Really
yes.
interesting. I'm
Yeah.
gonna write. I'm gonna write a book soon called "Shot to the Top."
Nice. Well, and I think that that unpacking that, talking about that is if you look in my world frame of mind, you are accepting that that happened to you and understanding what happened, why it happened, and the big universal
Mm,
shift, so because your life changed. That's the shift. The paradigm shift
yeah,
means that something was different the
yeah,
next moment. You
yeah.
know,
The next moment,
you were one person and now
and
you
now you're the.
feel.
That's good. That's great.
It's true, right? I mean, that's why we call it a shift. We
Yeah.
change our perception, and everything's perception. And that's fascinating to me, that the table or the okay, so the only thing I have is my power blanket. My blanket of power. I love that. So, so that is made up of the same stuff that is made of.
Yeah.
There is no reason that that shouldn't go through that, except my perception says it's not going,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it should just be able to pass right through. And we choose that it doesn't. Again, going back to we're choosing our life. And
Mm.
it's that simple and it's that basic. And right now, if you choose that you are going to be a public speaker tomorrow, right? You're going to I choose that there will be a venue tomorrow that I'm going to speak and I'm going to be known as a public speaker. Tomorrow there will be a venue that you will speak and you will be a public speaker. And that That's how fast it works. We don't believe that it can work that fast.
I
That
know, and that's the resistance that's created.
exactly. But if you believe it, like you believe it, like you believe it, like, and then we're getting into the secret territory and
Yeah.
all of that. But and it is true. It is true that if you believe it, that thoughts are things and thoughts are energy and energy is matter.
Hmm. I love thoughts or energy. Energy is matter. I love it. That's why I've been studying this stuff because the more I began to understand like how this scientifically works,
Mm-hmm.
like thoughts are things, ladies and gentlemen. And for those who I think it may be too woo woo, let's get scientifical for a second. Okay, the moment you have a thought, it creates a cell that can be seen with a microscope, therefore making it real.
Yes, it is a neuron.
And the
And
more
then
of those thoughts you have, then they create bundles, and that becomes memory and becomes temperament, and personality traits, and then this is who you are.
absolutely. And that who you are, that story about yourself can change on a dime. And one of the ways to allow it to change is by unpacking those things that you think are so big and scary,
Yes.
right?
And you learn from those big, scary, hairy things.
You do. You really, and it's so, you learn so much about yourself. And then the gratitude piece is huge. Where all of this is concerned, especially where trauma is concerned, because
Hmm.
trauma cannot be processed the way the regular day is processed. So usually when we enter REM sleep, we process the day. We are able to go through and say, okay, this belongs here, that goes over there, however our minds really work, which of course none of us knows.
Right, 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 right. We have a fraction of a fraction of a clue though. So
Exactly, a fraction of a fraction of a clue. Exactly. And so, and part of that is that we know that trauma can't be processed that way. It comes from a different world and it affects us in a different way because we need to know what it is we're getting from that, why it is for us that those
hmm
things happen. Because when we know, we can change it. We
hmm
can choose to be a different way in the world. We can decide that, okay, so our here is our life. Our life put us in a place where we're going to get shot. You know, I have another story. Different kind of woman entirely. So, oh, this is one of the things that the Southerners would say, oh, bless her heart. So, I was at a coffee house and this woman, I walked up to the coffee house and this woman said, oh, I was almost shot at. And I'm like, really? Because you seem just fine. Everybody around you's fine. Oh, no, really? I was standing right here, and this guy comes by in a car, and there were these two people over here. Oh, they were probably, 10 yards away from me, and somebody shot at them. I was almost shot. And I'm like, darling, you were not almost shot. There was no way you were going to be shot today. And people do
Wow.
that. They take on the negative so much that they're going to get shot.
It's kind of like, not our fault, guys. So don't beat yourself up that you find negative things. We're created to find negative things. Like the negative finder in us is actually built to keep us protected, right? To keep us
Yeah.
safe, to have an understanding about what's going on. But the problem is we turn it on and leave it on a little too long. Like so the you gotta turn that switch off. You know what I'm saying? Turn on
But,
periodically, but then
right,
turn it off.
right. Turn it on when it's required. And
Required.
then remember to turn the thing off. It's just like turning out the light before you
Yes.
leave the room. Okay, I'm in this room. I'm afraid. Okay, I'm in a different room now. I don't have
Yes.
to be afraid anymore.
Yes.
And that fear only has to last that long. I have a picture of a friend of mine going that long. And it's my favorite picture of her. Um, and allowing ourselves, you know, to turn off that light because it's so detrimental in the long term.
Oh
When
man.
we're out of danger, we need not fear anymore.
Hmm.
You know, who was it that said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself? And
Yeah.
that is very, very true. The longer we stay in fear, the longer we dwell there, the harder our life is.
Hmm.
And the more the universe works the other way because fear is not positive unless it's saving your life in the moment.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I know you have a time restraint and we've been doing this for almost an hour and a half now.
Really?
So, well, it's probably been just about an hour of
Okay.
recording time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to stay and do this all day.
I know this is not even a interview. I mean, it is, but it's like a conversation. Well, but it's not even a conversation. It's just like I don't know, therapeutic. It's a whole bunch of different things. It is right now.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very
Well, and
good.
a lot of people know a lot more about you now.
And I'm glad. I'm glad
Good.
they do because that's part of the process of world change. And what I noticed also is with your world peace. It's not that very small thing to accomplish. We got the world here, and we have billions of healthy, wealthy people. So you got your world peace here, billions of healthy, wealthy people. Well, from my definition, since health is your wealth, healthy is the new wealthy, mentally, physically, spiritually rich. If you are healthy, then you are using what we were talking about is you are living through inner peace, which creates total acceptance, right?
Yes.
Which is so it's kind of all connected. So you get world peace from being healthy, mentally, physically,
Absolutely.
spiritually. Get yourself together and don't kill anyone. You
And don't
know,
kill anyone.
and I think you do those things. You know, take care of your mind, body, and spirit, which ultimately, you know, naturally you won't want to kill anyone.
Exactly. Exactly. Because when you're well, you just want everyone around you to be well.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. And
And
that's true for a society. And we can create a society that is stronger, healthier. That is, let's step back. That is strong, healthy, intellectually engaged,
yeah,
able to work through a problem. We can do that. All it takes is one person standing up and saying, I declare peace. And that's
I
it.
gotta connect you with Jacqueline Way. She is you pull up on YouTube, you'll see her TED Talk. She did this thing a couple years ago with her 5-year-old son, or they did a project, and basically she was teaching him about giving, and he was 5 or 4,
Mm,
and he asked her about it, and they decided to do one give every day for a year.
wow.
She called it 365 Give. Phenomenal. I had my kids one day school's closed, for snow, and me and the kids and my wife, we sat and watched it here, and it was good. They actually sat there and watched it. I was so my even my 6-year-old was sitting there watching. I'm not sure how much she got, but she was at least still.
Right.
Point is, Jacqueline and her son decided to do this for a year, and then other people wanted to try, and they wanted to do it as well. Before you knew it, it became a movement, and she connected with schools all over the world, and now hundreds of thousands of people are participating. Schools are adopting it. She turned it into a curriculum that can be
Wow.
used within the school system and wherever you want to use it. Basically, it's just the curriculum is really difficult to understand too. So you may not. So let me show you. So it's basically do something for somebody.
That's God. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can wrap my head
Yeah,
around that.
yeah, yeah. I I told her it'd be difficult to get this in because it might be hard to really comprehend the complexity of this. Do something for somebody.
Do something for somebody.
That's it. And that could be anything. That can be saying I love you. That can be taking out the trash. It can be taking some things down to the shelter.
Right.
365 give.
365 give.
And so you and your world peace and who you are have to meet her. The next, so April 7th, now watch this. So April 17th is
Mm-hmm.
it's the give day. It's like the official 365 give day.
Ah,
Right. April 17th is also my son's birthday. My son is my angel, my firstborn. He literally is the angel from wherever goodness is.
wow.
And now I also wrote the song, the theme song for 365 Give. My wife and daughter sung on it. So it's good. A lot of good stuff is happening. What am I telling you? Because I know I have to leave, and you try to let me go, and I kept talking.
It's
Um,
okay.
I wanted to connect you two because you just it's something powerful within conversation, and that's what I was told to do. So I did it.
Well, and I really appreciate that. And by telling me, you're also telling everyone who has the opportunity to watch this, which is or listen to it, which is wonderful. I want to say one more thing about acceptance is it is while I don't think it is the antithesis of tolerance, it is the thing that needs to replace our concept of tolerance because there is nobody on this planet that wants to be tolerated,
Hmm.
and no one deserves tolerance. Everyone deserves acceptance.
Wow.
Every single human. And I actually have a primer for positive language. I think that positive language is, I think that's kind of where we began. So we're coming full circle. Is the way to change the flow in on the planet. Again, the World Wide Web. The more positive we are in our speaking and in our writing, and now that we live in this new epistolary age where everything we do is written, it's very important to use the nuance of positive language to express ourselves. And the first
Yeah.
step of that is getting rid of the word but, as
Get rid of it.
in, yes,
Get rid of that butt.
love you, but,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
negates everything you say before it. And it
Mm-hmm.
can almost always follow the rule of improv. Instead of
I got
saying,
rid of my big butt a long time ago. I had
right,
to. I had to.
yeah.
Finish with the improv because that's a big one. Because I just studied. I just heard that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so with the first rule of improv, and maybe we didn't say this during the anyway. So the first rule of improv is to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
whenever you say no, it ends the story. It
Yeah.
ends the conversation. And so if we live our lives saying yes instead of saying but, I
Hmm.
love you and
Mm-hmm.
I love you and you are wonderful. And I'm so grateful for you. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. And I think you are wonderful. And your blanket is too.
Thank you. And I think you are wonderful. And I am. I'm so grateful for the time that you've shared with me. And I do think that we need to be on the same dais together. I think that would be great fun.
Yes, it would be. And
Yeah,
why not create it? We are the
absolutely.
creators.
We are, in fact,
Thoughts are the paintbrush of the mind. So you got the colors clearly.
clearly. Okay. Well, thank you so very much.